Okay, I'm running late. I was shooting a video. I thought I'd be finished, and I'm not. I just realized I was late. So this is going to be messy for a couple minutes while I finish it. I'm almost finished, but I have to do a couple things. I need my Lewis bag and my mallet and some ice. How much ice? This much ice. Okay, in you go. Lots of ice. Not sure how much I need. Maybe that much. Maybe that much. And I gotta get this glass. Oh, Jesus. Fuck. That was close. Almost broke a glass on a live stream. That would have been embarrassing. So, also remind me when I'm back. I've got to send AZ the link. Right. Lots of noise. Okay, crocheted ice in the tiki goblet. All right. Let's do this. For my finale, my favorite cut glass tiki goblet, filled with crushed ice, and we go one. Oh, shit. Okay. That's pretty solid. Two. Oh, I can't even fit all three of them in there because I went absolutely ham on the crushed ice. Oh, well, I hope you enjoyed that little trick. And yeah, I've got a bunch of overproof rum to drink, so I better sign off and do that. In the meantime, I hope you take care. I hope you take care of the people around you. And until I see you again, cheers. God damn. All right. Christ, so many near disasters there. All right. Fuck. Okay. Turn this off. Turn these extra lights off because I don't need them. Ugh. So many near disasters. But I triumphed. A triumph of the will. I don't think there are any negative connotations to that phrase. I can't think of any off the top of my head. I think that's a completely legitimate thing to say. All right. Overproof rums everywhere. Did that tonight because, yes, Abigail, sure is embarrassing to break a glass on a live stream. And I almost fucking did it while completely, oh no! And a little hobbit down there. There we go. Oh, okay. Hello, Alexander, Abigail, Celtic King. Who else was waiting for me because I was, in fact, late? All right. Now, as I've got to, AZ wanted to join, so I will send him the link. That'll just take me a second. Sending, sent. Okay, yes. So I made that video tonight because it's making 3 drinks with overproof rum. And I didn't want to try and squeeze it in with another couple of videos on Friday night because that would have led to Angry Falls Asleep again. Hi, Raiders. Which, who knows, that might actually happen tomorrow night again. I'm a wild, crazy individual. But now I've got this huge thing of crushed ice and lots of rum. And juices. Typical tiki drink. Rum and juice. Did I say hello, Raiders? Hello, Raiders. So phone is in here. If we don't hear from AZ for about half an hour, I'll message him and say, I sent you the link and you wanted to join. But we'll just assume he's joining us sometime in the next 30 seconds to hour. Who knows which of those it will be. Celtic King, I don't sleep on camera. I wander off, go and sleep on this. What I find amazing is the 2 times I did it, I woke up at about 2 a.m., which is when I'd normally finish a Friday night stream. And I woke up about then and go, oh, there's still people talking. And I went out and went, no, it's still here. Okay, I'm going to switch it off now. Raiders, did I hear about the Vax Compluter? Okay, I've not been drinking. I don't know why words are difficult at the moment. Vax computer glitch. No, I did not. Although maybe I did and I'm forgetting. I don't know. Off the top of my head, I don't know what that is. Okay, it's not strictly true. They haven't drunk anything. I had sips of my 3 different overproof rums, and then made cocktails with. Oh, see, okay, it was a vaccination computer glitch. Okay, oh no, I didn't hear that. You were in a huge queue at museum for second Pfizer. I hope it was worth the wait. Yeah, because we all want to get vaccinated. The whole angry household is on the road to vaccination now. The younger angries have their first dose. So, get a second dose in about 6 weeks. Tommy wanted to get shit together, said it started at 10 a.m. I have no idea why it would have said that. But we're here now. So, yeah, YouTube does do odd things occasionally. I think I need a straw. Because I do. All these crushed ice, I need a straw. There are some straws over here. Give me just a sec. I'm going to get a straw. What straw will I get? This one? This one will do. Pink straw. That's very manly. I like to be very tough and butch and manly. I'm just rinsing the straw because it is a reusable straw. I did wash it after last use. It's completely the wrong straw for this glass, but needs must when the devil drives. Say Irish wristwatch. Okay. Ray, did you say it was the best part of 700 meters? Of course it was worth it. Yes. Convinced the disgruntled bloke to stay after he cracked him. Oh, good. Good work, you. Good work, that man. Encouraging vaccine positivity. You love to see it. Okay. Don't know if it's my imagination, but after just a couple of sips of these drinks made with overproof rum, I feel like I can feel it. That could just be my imagination. Pretty active imagination. So I'd certainly be pacing myself with this, though. It's like 3 shots of overproof rum, so about 5 shots of regular rum. So, that's enough to make a doctor tisk tisk. I think 5 standard drinks counts as binge drinking. Okay. But that's all good. Yeah, okay, so sort of sweet and tart and rummy, this one, because it's got pineapple juice, a bit of lime juice, bit of this special sugar syrup I made. It's probably a little bit sweet, probably because of the sugar syrup I put in. But, say la vie, that's okay. Celtic, saw a video earlier from a Scottish YouTuber who couldn't say Irish wristwatch. That was Limmy, Purple Burglar Alarm, because of his accent. I didn't see Irish wristwatch, but I did see that Limmy had something talking about Scottish people not being able to say purple burglar alarm. I assume that's who you're talking about as well. It would be a coincidence if it was a different Scottish YouTuber. Okay. This is mostly ice. That's why the drinks wouldn't fit in. But I just took a punt. I thought it might all fit in. Safa, greeting from the town of Lockdown. I feel you, brother. I feel you. Oh, Celtic, it was Limmy. Okay. Yes. And while Limmy has a YouTube channel, it would be a bit weird to call him a YouTuber. But speaking of a bit weird, it's AZ.
It's weird to be a YouTuber. I can do things with my flesh.
Oh, fair enough. I've got an absurdly wrong straw for my drink, but I needed it because I filled it with crushed ice. And
nothing wrong with your straw. You're allowed to drink out of pink.
Oh, it's not pink.
Let your bloody fashion choices be criticised by other people. Just because you decide to drink out of a pink straw doesn't mean anything about your habits.
Proclivities.
Proclivities and or needs.
It's the length of the straw I'm talking about rather than the colour. It's a bit unwieldy for this drink.
It is bent too.
Mm-hmm.
No one likes a bent straw. Well, some people do like a bent straw. That's unfair. Some people get into a bent straw.
Pink and bent and too long, and I've never heard those descriptors referred to for anything else. So that's all I'm saying.
I've had complaints about pink and bent and too long.
Yeah.
But I have had the occasional, I'm looking for pink and bent and too long.
Yeah.
And I have had people go, I think I can help you there because I know a guy who knows a guy.
There's always someone. There's always someone who'll find it for you. Good evening, Greg.
In a tie and a suit, sweating, over coffee. Oh,
yeah.
Hello. My name's Scudanthus. And I'll just come home and get your gear off, dude. Oh, okay. That is long and pink and bent. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to need a second go because the first go is, see, there you go. It's all right, man. We'll just get clean up.
We'll get there in the end. And hello, Robot Mine Greg. And good on you, Safa, who's in the sort of border region, which just got locked down again. And he's had a COVID test as a precaution, which is a fine community-minded thing to do.
It is a fine community-minded thing to do. Have we got locked down again?
Well, we're not out of lockdown. It's just some of the regional areas that were momentarily free of lockdown are now back in.
When's our lockdown finishing, or is it just indefinite? Just keep going.
It's indefinite. Dan says special presser on Sunday where he will describe the roadmap. Where he's basically going to say, when this percentage of people have 2 vaccinations, we will do the following. When this percentage have it, we'll do this. He goes, we're not New South Wales, so we're not fucking dickheads who are just blithely saying in the face of who the fuck knows what, they're definitely opening everything. But we'll find out on Sunday what the benchmarks are.
Okay, so I've got a problem with New South Wales.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the normal problems.
Okay.
It's new problems. And it's problems vis-a-vis your Rona. They have clearly shown that the East is just fine. It's the West that's in trouble. And they have clearly defined the East as where all the rich people live. And the West is where they throw their tip.
Yes.
And I've always found it annoying traveling around Sydney because when you're in the East, you've got trains buses if you want them, and fucking hydrofoils. But if you're in the West, you've got one train line and one big road, which costs. And you've also got the ring road, which costs. Taxpayers put it in, and then you get to pay anyway.
By sheer coincidence, the New South Wales Premier, who awarded the contract to the company that built that road and runs the tolls and makes the money off the tolls, got appointed to the board of that company when he left politics, which is a surprising turn of events. That was Nick Greiner.
I have never seen a Liberal Party politician ever do anything like that ever in my life.
I know. It's such a rarity.
I might be lying.
Yeah.
From Fraser, who we thought was a fascist when he got in. Oh, our times have changed.
God, he's further to the left than Labor is now.
Yeah.
Apart from an industrial relations, he was a fucking thug on industrial relations.
Oh, I have a terrible story. My dad was doing a water on a house, and this woman was sort of wandering around, and she was kind of upset. And he said, "What's wrong with you?" And he said, "Oh, I'm trying to get these telecom, it was back then, guys
back in the day,
to get this done, because I need the phone on to call my mother who's got cancer in hospital." And he said, "Oh, don't worry, I'll fix this up." And he's gone out and strode out into the middle of the two, because it's basically flat land, bushland, and this one house and another house. He's come out of one house and walked a few paces out, and he says, "Hurry up, boys, or the Razor Gang will get you." And he said it was fucking hilarious watching these guys just fucking up and run, and just like quickly, blah, 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 blah. Everyone suddenly had something to do, and the bloody thing was finished in 20 minutes, and they all fucked off.
Yeah. And for those unfamiliar with the term, Razor Gang was coined by the Fraser Conservative government's habit of savagely slashing public expenditure, and of which telecom was part back in the day. It's private now. Back then it wasn't. And so, their thing of going like, well, we're just going to cut, X $100 million from the public service budget. Here we come.
Well, the way they would do it is they would go in and they would find teams, because it was all blocked in teams. They would go in and find teams and go, your KPIs, and no one ever heard of KPIs before then. Your KPIs are lower than everyone else's. You are all fired. This entire department of team is gone. And they would fire them, and the unions would go, you can't just fire people. And then they would turn around and go, well, because they're all what's the word? Not immature, but incompetent at their job. Yes, we can, and that's in the rules. You can, and they could actually show that they were incompetent at their job, because they would test these people and say, put this together, and they couldn't. It was embarrassing. At the time, the unions had gone so far with so much that they'd overblown their welcome and their stay. You'd get union reps coming onto sites pissed out of their minds, standing over employers, demanding money and gifts, usually gifts, and getting them, otherwise they'd shut down jobs and shut down sites or jobs. And it was getting frankly out of control, and it was the right time for the union ideologues to put the boot in. It was because the public was getting over it too. It had got to the point where it was hurting the public, and the real, because the unions had gone into community stuff, They got into, let's not cut down the forest. Let's save these public buildings. They'd overstepped their warrant, but they'd done it in such a way as to be of service to the public. But the guys that came after them just saw, we've got so much power, we can do anything we fucking want. And as a result, it got out of control. And
that sort of thing tends to be a pendulum. The power thing, it's like, workers have no rights whatsoever. They're being murdered by bosses and whatnot. And through long, hard fight, union gets power. Things come into equilibrium. But then people going, I really like power. I really like power. And it swings too far. And then everyone jacks up against that. And then it always swings back to, and we are way on the wrong side of workers being fucked over by the lords of capital at the moment. There's a overdue correction.
Well, I am one that will say it'll come. And the reason that I say it will come is that you've got our unions at the moment who own and operate the super system. So they're never worried about money ever again. They've got a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so as a result, all you need is a few politically minded operatives in there, because that's where all the Labor Party politicians are getting trained, in the super system. And as a result, they're actually getting very good at economy. And what we're going to see is the German system soon. I reckon soon. After this calculation, we're going to see this soon. The unions are going to come and say, put us on the board. Evening all, will be listening whilst washing off capitalism. Dirt from the drill rig, lol. Yeah, Stella.
I like that as a symbology. Ooh, I'm washing off all the filthy capitalism.
Ging, gang, gooly, gooly, wash, wash, ging, gang, goo. If you were ever a scout. So basically, they'll be doing the German system. They'll be saying, put us on the board. We will make your product more efficient, more saleable, and easier and quicker to build with a more motivated workforce. And a few boards will go, okay, and then they'll go off, right? And other boards will go, how'd you do that? We put the unions on the board. No, I don't like that. No, do it. And then the German system is that the unions work with the board to make the company desperately fucking efficient and harmonious. And if you can make it efficient and harmonious, then you get to have super companies. You get to have Volkswagen, who makes fucking what do they call them? Fucking very fast cars, Veyrons and Cheyrons, Bugattis, which was a toy that I hate it when you're walking down the street and you accidentally step on some capitalism. It's dirty, isn't it? It's even worse when you don't notice and track it through the house. Oh, we've got sensors in the house and attack dogs.
If you've dragged some capitalism in.
Yeah, if you've dragged some capitalism in, yeah, and boss of the house just screams at you, get out the carpet cleaner immediately. Sorry, matey, and I went down on my hands and knees, and my knees are arthritic, so I'm very careful about wiping the capitalism off on a
as you should be. It's the right way to be.
On a Range Rover driver, and I can in Northcote. It's easy to do.
Yes, yes.
Basically, so these the Veyron and the Cheyron were basically a toy. You've done good, kids. Do you want to do something fun? Because the Nissan GT was at one point one of the fastest road cars in the world, and that was a toy project from Nissan going, guys, you've done really well. Do you want to do something fucking cool that'll cost way more money than we'll ever get, but will look very cool? And they've all gone, yes. And they go, all right, we will get the best factory workers out of everywhere in, Japan. And they went, oh, can it be me? And it's like, well, you have to be fucking good, dude. And they all went crazy going, I'm going to be the best. Before I was born, my country was socialist. Did I create dirty capitalism in my country by being born? Suffer.
Maybe that was capitalist sex your parents had and
Well, it was.
produced capitalism.
Suffer,
Yeah, could be.
I can't lie to you. With a little bit of alcohol, like it, I'm talking isopropyl alcohol, rubbed thoroughly into your skin, and a little bit of don't be an asshole to somebody, you might be able to get past it.
That's all good. I'm just thinking how this looks. The weirdos, like the right-wing weirdos who got obsessed with me a while back, who were very upset when they found out I drank cocktails rather than beer. Their reaction of me sucking on this long pink straw. Huh? It's a sex thing. The obsession they had, it was always a sex thing.
I get the weirdest fucking comments. Like, apparently I'm a pedophile one week, and then the next week was some guy who was on fucking what was it, TikTok, doing something evil, and I've never been on TikTok in my life. And
I don't know what that
particular and a this and a that, and I'm a bullshitter. There's no question about that because I'm a comic, and you've got to be a bullshitter to be a comic. The reason being is you've got to set up feasible situations, which then you twist and then you put a punchline in. That's all the jokes you've ever heard in my life, in your life, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Twist, punch. They can be of different lengths. They can take different times, and they can have little jokelets sprayed in there. They can also have callbacks built in, which is the sign of usually a longer show, which is really nicely put together. What you see that is really masterful is a show where there's pretty good jokes and a couple of callbacks, and then right at the end, for the last sort of 10 minutes or so, all the callbacks that has been set up during the show go pa-pump, 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 just one after the other. They come in, they come in, they come in, and one of the main callbacks comes in again over the top, and just binds it all together in a bow, and you just go, oh, champagne. It's fucking beautiful. But anyway, Fraser at the time had the Razor Gang, and it was all about making government workers work harder, which they did need to do, and they did. They actually did. The other thing that happened was he was teaching John Howard how to be a politician, but John Howard didn't think he was tough enough, and John Howard was absolutely fucking outraged when Fraser immediately accepted the Vietnamese boat people.
Because it was our fault.
Right. The thing was, and this is the thing that shits me today, I didn't know back then. Back then when I was a kid, I was being fed all the media bullshit, right?
Yeah.
What we weren't told was these people that were refugeeing, because they were refugees. They weren't asylum seekers.
Yeah.
They were getting on boats in fucking Vietnam, going through the pirates and going straight to Western Australia and Northern Territory, and then hitting the shores and going, please, fuck, let us be here. And it was actual refugees, right? There was no second country of landing. It was straight through. And the reason they were let in was they were the Southern Vietnamese fighters, translators, and allies that we had in the Vietnam War that the Americans fucking rejected, motherfuckers, and basically they had nowhere to go. And the Northern Vietnamese government and army, which is pretty much the same thing at the time, basically said, now we're going to purge all the anti-revolutionary people, which meant the Southern Vietnamese army.
Yes.
And they ran. They had nowhere to go. They ran. They got anything that floated and any gold that they could convert They hid it anywhere they could. Ando speaks of he was only little at the time, but he remembers the pirates coming on board and going through their boat and getting anything of value, including their fucking chickens, which they were going to live on the boat. And they didn't know they had 3 more weeks to sail, and they had 4 chickens for 3 weeks' food. The captain of the boat had some navigation. He went, "We're a long way away. We really need to put the sails up and not use our diesel." And then toward the end, they did use the diesel because they ran into a second group of pirates. Now, the pirates used to hang out in a line between Vietnam and Western Australia, because the Vietnamese had to go that way, right? Unless they wanted to go around the world, they had to go that way. And they would turn up and go, "Give us everything you've got or we will kill all of you." And what Ando's folks did was they put all the gold, because they try and convert everything into gold, maybe jewels, but usually gold, and hide it on the boat. And what they did was they put it in his younger brother's nappy, and they fed him some concoction which made him shit, like a lot. And then when the pirates came on board, apparently his mum's put her thumb right on his bladder and squeezed as hard as she could. So the kid is screaming and then lets out this fucking almighty turd. And the turd's running down the kid's leg, and the pirate's going, oh, that's fucking 2 weeks on a boat. So they're checking the boat, and finally the captain goes, "Oh, let's fuck off. Let's go. They've got nothing. Let's go." And they had all their money in that nappy.
Desperate times, man. Desperate times. You got to do what you got to do.
Can you imagine you and me fucking going, "Oh yeah, I'm just going to go through that"? Fucking, I'd be crying, going, "Fucking just shoot me now." But they made it, and of course, Ando was going, "Oh, I'm so proud of my brother. He's such a high achiever. He's got Young Australian of the Year award." And like every time he fucking turns around, he goes, "Oh, my brother's got Young Australian of the Year award." And I'm going, "Ando, you're a multi-fucking millionaire after turning up in this country, not knowing the language, and fucking becoming the top of one of the hardest industries in the fucking country." Yeah. So, mate, maybe you've done okay as well, bro.
For those who don't know, Ando, besides winning a whole bunch of community awards, he's a very good comedian. He's written a number of successful children's books. A very successful memoir, like made him a fortune. And he has a show on the ABC called Arn's Brush with Fame, where he gets famous people into the studio and has a chat with them. And he's a fucking amazing artist as well.
Really good.
He does these really large scale portraits of the people in his own style. He's super multi-talented and incredibly successful. As AZ says, multi-millionaire. He's made so much money from the books, particularly. I think you can maybe see. Although, he reminded me of, before Ando got famous, there was another Vietnamese Australian comedian, Hung Lee, and he had the best Vietnam War joke I have ever heard. He was talking, because his family were in Saigon during the fall of Saigon, and he said, like, he's talking about, it's weird having sort of grown up in Australia and seeing people's external view of what happened. And he goes, it's interesting, like the fact that I was there in Saigon at the fall of Saigon, and now I hear people like Americans talk about Vietnam was the war that came into people's lounge rooms. They were fucking right. And we didn't even have a TV.
Like, came into our fucking lounge room, all right?
Because this whole thing, it's the first time Americans...
There it was.
It was the first time Americans saw a war in real time on their TVs because there were news crews there. And that's what Americans mean when they say it was the war that came into our living rooms. And Hung Lee goes, it sure was. And we didn't even have a TV.
When you see some shit blow up out your front.
Fucking tanks coming down the street.
And so Fraser immediately turned around and said, let him in. And the press went, the fucking gooks, we were fighting them. A lot of the Australians went, oh, the fucking gooks, we were fighting them. It's like, well, you were complaining about the fucking soldiers 3 years ago, so I don't know where this is coming from. Anyway.
And Fraser, to his credit, he said, it's our fault. It's a desperate, horrible humanitarian crisis. That's our fault. He actually took responsibility.
We needed interpreters. We needed fucking fighters. We fucked off and left them there to die. And now they're trying to get out, and we've got to give them somewhere to go. So,
do you know he's still reviled by the modern day Liberal Party for doing that, because John Howard in the 90s turned racism into the central plank of Australian politics.
What I was going to say. This is where I was going with all this.
Yeah.
The other thing that fucking Fraser did was when Lebanon blew up. Lebanon used to be called the jewel of the southern Mediterranean, right? It was the party place between Israel and Turkey up there, or Greece, in there. And it was the party place, and then all of a sudden the Hezbollah came in from Iran and blew the shit out of it. And Fraser said, we have to bring those refugees here. Again, his right-wing friends said, we don't. And he said, no, we do. It's the right thing to do. And at that point, Labor was going, yeah, he's right. It is the right thing to do. And Australia again turned around and said, well, fucking, that's all very well, but we've got to live with them. And we've seen what happened with the fucking Italians, and we've seen what happened with the fucking Greeks. And, you know, I tell you what, we're a very lucky people, because these days, especially in Melbourne, these days, we did see what happened with the Italians, and we did see what happened with the Greeks.
Yes, things got better.
Anymore. They're gone.
Things got better.
Right? The Italians are gone. The Greeks are on their way out. The Vietnamese are now our doctors and dentists. The fucking Arabs have taken over automotive. Basically, what happens is as these waves of people come through, the Yugoslavs, who are now Croatians and Serbians and never the two shall meet, basically are in construction big time. And when you know when a wave of immigrants has been successful is when they are in the trades of electrical and plumbing, because they're the top trades. They account for the most amount of money on the job, and they are the hardest to get into, and they require vocal skills, communication skills that are second to none. Plumbers will hire people who are not geniuses with maths, but if they cannot quote some Shakespeare at you, they do not get a job. And don't try and get a trade without fucking finishing year 12. Don't even attempt it. You're better off trying to get a trade after you finish your BA. Could be just arts, but you're better off trying to get a trade after you finish your BA. And I'm not shitting you, because these are people that make 6 and 7 figure, wages, who aren't into lowering those numbers and who aren't into letting their apprentices lower those numbers. So if you can't communicate concepts and ideas very quickly, very precisely, because precision's the name of the game and time is the name of the game. It's not a fucking mime show. It's the tools have. Think about this. It's like man of wars, ships of the line of the 17 and 1800s, right? Every one of those ships had over 200,000 parts.
Right.
And each one of those 200,000 parts had a replacement. Because remember, you're at a war and you get blown up a lot. So you've got to sneak off and fix your ship. And each one of these beams, nails, and plugs is in a part of the ship which can be got at and repatched, okay? So you can at least get home and get refitted, but you could probably get back to the fight. So everything has a name, a function, and a place. There is no fucking initials on a man of war ship, right? Why were there initials on the Apollo spacecraft, and hence why are there initials in computers now? Because that's where they came of age. There were initials on Apollo spacecraft because what it was an attempt to slow the Russians down while they were listening to broadcasts about what was going on.
Right. Talking about acronyms, yeah.
And if you go back through the tapes, you'll find things that the Russians were good at. They never bothered to initialize. So things like scrubber, booster, and reaction jet were things that the Russians were already good at. And fuel cell, they never managed to. They never put them in initials. The TPLAC.
So by using acronyms, they're forcing the Russians to translate twice, so slowing them down. First thing they go, they just said these letters are the English alphabet. What do they mean? So it's not just like I'm translating words. Okay, I translated the letters. Now I don't know what the letters mean. So to force them to double translate slowed them down. Also, I did want to throw in, Safa asked while you were talking, what's a BA? A BA is a Bachelor of Arts. It's your basic level university degree. It's your 3-year bachelor's degree. And Stella's saying after 20 minutes, your face is clean-ish. Now for the rest of you. Now I'm just waiting for Abigail to chime in with volunteering to do some very, very serious scrubbing. To help, just in the spirit of helpfulness. I think that's just in the spirit of helpfulness.
Essentially, you get basically, ships with several thousand parts. Everything had a name and a place. You had starboard. You had port. There was even meanings behind that. Starboard was the side that the steering board was on. I volunteer to help clean you up. Thank you.
See? Exactly.
You said that I was typing that. LOL. I'm typing with nose. Typing with one hand. I'm getting naked and wet. I'm sure you can help with that. At Abigail. What about at AZ? Stella? What about at AZ?
Oh, dear.
I'm typing one hand.
Safa's saying, is he smart because you can speak English and Russian? That bilingual, particularly to fundamentally different languages like English and Russian, yeah, you should get a job working in the fucking foreign service, mate. Go for it. That is a good skill. I mean, you can't help thinking at the moment that maybe, K-Rudd had it right with learning how to speak Chinese because that's the 21st century, whereas Russian, very, very handy for the 20th century.
Well,
not without its uses now.
I was going to say Russian, not so useless now. What with the new event going on, and I'm just waiting for President Putin to call himself president for life. I reckon that's coming. I reckon it's
Well,
all
he's already subverted the bloody constitution multiple times to hang on to power.
Oh, no.
So,
His prime minister turns into the president once in a term, and then he comes back
yeah.
for 2 terms.
No, but he only did that once. Like he it's like you're only allowed to be president for 2 terms, whatever. And he goes, "Oh, that's okay. I'll leave and I'll be prime minister, and the president will be my puppet." And then he went back to president again, and he's just gone, "Rules don't apply anymore." It's just like, and yeah, stuff. He's changed the constitution last year. Yeah, it's just like he had this pretense for a while, then he's just gone, "Oh no, that's boring. I don't want to do that."
I reckon one day, though, he'll shit himself because the poll will come in and he'll be like, "No, dude, actually, you lost." You go, "What?" It's like, "Yeah, you got to move out of the Winter Palace."
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
No, really, you got to move out.
That all just makes me think of the movie Death of Stalin, which is like the political farce, the darkest dark comedy I have ever seen. The fact that it can get you laughing about a system that was just gulagging and exterminating huge swaths of the population, and it's so funny. And you say, that's funny. It's funny because they're all going to get shot. Oh, wait, no, that's not funny. And it's just like, oh my God. Yeah.
Talking about the death of Stalin, you
Yes.
had Fraser basically going, the Lebanese have got to be able to come in here because the radicals are going to kill them. And the right wing of the Liberal Party went, that's not cool. And even at that time, the very right wing of the Labor Party went, yeah, the locals are really not going to like this. And they ended up going into their own, what tends to happen in Australia is a group of immigrants comes in, they tend to glom in a certain area, and then over a couple of generations they just spread out into the wider community, and there's, they don't speak Greek anymore, they don't speak Italian anymore, that shit's over. And we keep the recipes. And so what sort of happened was John Howard learned at the knee of Fraser that these bloody immigrants are disruptive of Australian culture without turning around and saying what Australian culture was. And they've been very, very good at going into the West and going, oh, the immigrants are coming. Oh, be careful, because they'll look at you funny, and you should look at them funny.
Yeah.
And
sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. Do you want to see famous last words, Hatesy, from our man Safa?
Yeah, Safa, less of that.
No, just dude, no. I thought you'd like that one. Famous last words. What are you going to do? Stab me? Ow! What are you going to do? Put polonium in my tea?
Yeah, that was going to be my next thing. Put fucking ionizing radiation in my food. Yeah. Turns out.
Write
an article. Just don't write an article. And for Christ's
sake, you're not a journalist, Safa, so you might be fine.
Maybe.
Maybe.
If it goes viral, you're fucked. Anyway, bloody Howard basically turned around and realised that the Australians had forgotten what their culture was because they stopped being taught it. And what Australian culture is look after one another. That's it. It's not mysterious. It's not fucking complicated. It's just look after one another. And I remember being yelled at by a New Zealander while I was in New Zealand. And we were doing this thing, and it was kind of going to get kind of tricky. And he said, "Oh, I got this, and you got this, and you got this to do." And I said, "Oh, I should be right." And he said, "I hate that about Australians, how they got laid back attitude about everything, and all they can say about anything that's difficult is she'll be right." And I said, "Look, mate, you've got to understand that that's a triple-pronged trident. The first part of the trident is saying, calm down, relax, and get your mind together. The second part of the trident is saying nothing is as bad as it could be at this time. And the third part of the trident is it will be right because we will make it right. We shall make it all right. She'll be right because we will make it all right. After understanding that we're not on fire now, and after understanding that we need to bring the drama down, and we need to keep our spirits up.
I want to bring in my favorite podcast, the Blind Boy podcast, Blind Boy Boat Club from the Rubber Bandits, Irish writer, comedian, songwriter. Fabulous chap he is. He had one recently where he talked about the Irish saying it'll be grand, which he said, again, wrongly applied is very destructive because it's like everything's going wrong. No one, it'll be grand. And he did say after he got some feedback and he had Australians messaging him going, "Oh my God, she'll be right, mate." It's like when people use that as an excuse to do nothing. And Aidsy hit the nail on the head. She'll be right doesn't have to be lazy and dismissive and non-active. It can be, we are going to make it right. And the same thing with the Irish saying, it'll be grand. It's like, we are going to find a way to make this work. But I think it kind of splits 50-50 with people that those sort of sayings is, I am going to take active steps to make it right, to make it grand. And 50% of the people are, I am not going to do anything because, I don't know, it'll probably work out. And it's those people who fuck things up. Those people. But I don't want to say, by the same token, the hyper obsessive action American fixation causes more problems than it solves. It absolutely causes more problems than it solves.
I mean, this is why She'll Be Right has more of a place in our life right now than it ever has before. Now, one of the things that is being whispered about in Labor circles is that we're starting to think about not fucking chasing boats off the fucking edge of Australia and starting to bring in immigrant people and teaching them for 4 months about habits, ways, culture, greetings, and language. And remember that most of these folks get off a plane and get told, "Oh, there you are, you live in the West now, good luck." And it's like, well, how the fuck's that going to work? Oh, by the way, you don't get any dole for 13 weeks.
No, it's 3 years. I don't know where you got 13 weeks from.
Of course, we're in the Liberal government. 3 years.
It's 3 years.
Good luck to you. Fuck.
Which, to my mind, is just, and also they can't have a job as well. It's like you are just trying to create crime when you do stuff like that.
Yeah.
When someone can't exist legally, you are forcing them to exist illegally. So it's just ridiculous.
And so there's been whispers about doing proper fucking education. But one of the whispers has also been into talking to people, especially people in the west of Sydney, especially them, because they're the ones who are most likely to arc up.
Yeah.
Talking to them about what is the culture that is being disrupted. What is your culture? And they've been getting some very fucking strange answers back. Mostly, I couldn't tell you, but I know if you can see it. And it's like,
Yeah.
no, you don't. If you can't say, you don't know.
Yeah. Not brown people. It's not brown people is what I'm saying.
There's a
It's
lot of
not
not.
brown people.
And it's like, well, fucking with a lot of not. There's also a big push by people, by locals in the country of in the regional parts of Australia, going, a lot of these people are farmers. We are farmers. Bring the farmers to us before our fucking town dies. We have farms going for $100, right? We will lend them the $100, right? Bring them here so our schools don't close, our banks don't close, and our fucking post offices don't close. And then the guys will be fucking put in immediately into the bush firefighting service, and the women will be immediately put into the CWA, and the kids will go to school and find that Australia has some odd rules, but rules that are very circular in nature.
Yeah,
In the
it's
sense
like
that
that family. I've forgotten the family's name. The Bilowat family from I think they're from Afghanistan. They're from somewhere that we fucked up, basically.
Yeah.
And they got resettled in some redneck rural Queensland town, and everyone loved them. They were a valued part of the society, but the Liberal Party, with their incredibly fucked ideology over reality, dragged these people out of the community that loved them and put them in one of the island concentration camps. And it's just like this psychotic allegiance to ideology over reality. And also, Hellion, hello, Kirsten, by the way. Hello.
Hello, Gorge.
I'm just drinking water.
And so, you know, there's country towns all over Australia going, fucking send them here. You know,
let them settle in country towns. Yes,
fucking come on down. You know, we've got fucking farms for them. We've got tractors for them. We can show them what to do, and they'll have more fucking money in 1 year than they'll have ever seen in their life. They'll be fine, and you know, their kids end up going to fucking school, and kids are kids. Fuck, you know. Black, white, and red. They are Tamils resetted in Billawea, Queensland. Can't remember the family's name.
I always got confused over where Billawella was the town or the family name. And thank you, Optical Turkey, for correcting the record on it. But yeah, again, this was a conservative country town in Queensland and they're like, I just want someone who bloody puts in. And this family put in and worked because they weren't allowed to legally work. So they did all this community service stuff in the town. And the town's gone, fair enough then. And then when Dutton wanted to put them in one of the concentration camps, the whole fucking town is like, no, what? What are you doing? Why would you do that? That doesn't make any sense.
And they're all going, no, come get them. And, you know.
Unfortunately, they did.
Yeah, they did. But this is happening all over Australia. You know, country towns are going, send them here. Fuck, we could use the population.
Exactly.
And a lot of these folks were farmers and want to farm, but they end up cleaning offices for $2 a year, and end up being powder monkeys for $2 a week. And
And we get stuck in this, and I think all political parties are guilty of it at some stage. But the Conservatives globally are very bad for it at the moment, being obsessive about this has to fit in with my ideology. Objective reality doesn't come into it. My ideology decrees the following will happen. Objective reality might say you are damaging the country and the economy by doing that. Now, I don't care. My ideology says I have to do this. And hi, Megaleech, if I didn't say hello, Megaleech, by the way, too.
My Megaleech. Bloody the first 6 months, solid 6 months of the new Liberal government after Rudd's second term.
Yeah.
Bloody, they spent the first 6 months unpicking all of the fucking initiatives that Labor put together over the last several years.
Yes, and fucking up everything. Yeah,
manufacturing a credit crisis, a financial crisis, so that we could have austerity. We didn't need austerity, but everyone else had it, so we had to have it too.
Yeah, and that was one of the good things Rudd did, is spend our way out of the global financial crisis. Just keep pumping money into the economy, and then the economy didn't suffer. And the Liberals fucking hated that because they go, no, I don't care that the results are unequivocally good. I don't care that all of our party donors benefited from this. I don't care. Ideologically, we have to oppose government spending no matter how much it works. And it's just like, fuck you.
And they, I remember talking with my old man who, him and I have very many political arguments, and he admitted that if the Liberals were in at that time, they would have let us burn. They would have just sat back and let us burn. As it was, Australian banks were in the position to buy overseas banks and did so several times. And because these banks were going for nothing, because they were worthless. But they had X amount of customers who through simple weight would have basically put value back in the bank. And now the big four banks are fattened up even more by owning several American, several British, and several, turns out to be Russian, but Cyprus banks. Look, I wouldn't even pretend to know exactly how it works, and I wouldn't say anything, Lord Putin.
No. I was working for one of the Australian banks at that time, and they were doing this massive expansion into Asia because they could. I was doing a bunch of analysis of, okay, here's the local banking rules. This is what you have to comply with. And then I had to go to the compliance people in Australia and said, you need to produce something that says you're complying with what Singapore says, what Vietnam says, what China says, and they're all saying something different. It was actually a really fun exercise because you find out culturally what's important in all these countries. Like Singapore is technology mad. They're just like, you've got to have the highest end technology protecting everything. Japan still has this fixation with paper records. You've got to be able to produce paper records of everything in Japan. China, very simple. You better give the government a backdoor into every transaction that happens in the country because they don't want investigating someone to be hard. If they say, tell us every transaction this person did, you better be ready to tell them every transaction that person did. Because they won't let you operate in China unless you agree to that. And it's just
yeah. Even Google had to do a new Google to operate.
Oh, yeah.
There's a split Google, and the Chinese Google and the rest of the world Google are completely different entities. Because Google finally worked out that there's just no fucking way they could cut off all of the things that the Chinese government didn't want to say. So they said, righto, here's what we'll do. We'll just do a big wall. We'll just do a completely new structure. And that new structure will be the Chinese Google. And it will pass through the Ministry of Information server. And basically it will be populated by the Ministry of Information server. However, Google did something very interesting. They basically said if it is scientifically wrong, if it is able to be shown to be wrong, we will not put it. We won't say it's wrong. We just won't put it in. Because they still had hangovers in some provinces that Mao Zedong put men on the moon. And nowadays the Chinese know, no, it wasn't. It was the Americans that did it. But in some provinces, they haven't gone through to fix that. And so you've got people who are in the 40, 50 age group who still think, because they were taught as children, that it was the Chinese who put men on the moon. It was the Chinese who had space stations first. Now, to be fair, the Chinese Taikonaut rocket program leans very, very heavily on the Soviet/Russian designs. Now, this is not a mistake, and this is not something that they are trying to hide. They said that they did a lot of technology exchange with the Russians, and also recently they've been saying they've been doing some technology exchange with the Americans, because there's some stuff the Americans got that's really very good. But there's some stuff the Russians do that is just really brilliant. One of the things that the Russians do that is just really very fucking good is the Salyut 7 and the Soyuz. That old 40, nearly 50-year-old re-entry capsule is fucking great. It's tough as fucking nails. And if you can get 5 things to go in order, you're getting down just fine. Just fine. Usually in the right spot. They've got basically about a 200-kilometre radius that they know you're going to come down in. But there's only 5 things to go wrong, and they've got to sort of go wrong in the right order. But in the shuttle re-entry, you had something like 380 things that had to line up to get in properly, and that's a lot.
Maths is great, though.
Hey?
Mathematics is great. You can do a bunch of stuff with mathematics.
Oh, you know, amazing stuff with mathematics. But I'm talking engineering-wise, if you were going to copy a design for quick and cheap, you'd definitely go with your Soyuz re-entry capsule, because it's simple and it's pretty fucking it's robust. That's the best way of putting it. It's really quite robust. And the things that make other things go are really very good. The way they pack the parachutes, the way they heat the parachutes before they're let go is clever. In American capsules, they have a heater that heats up the parachutes so that they're not frozen. In the Soyuz and Chinese capsules, they bleed off some of the heat of re-entry and just let it hang around 3 of the empty nitrogen spheres. And then they, at the right time, just let the now pressurized hot nitrogen spheres blow warm air, because remember they're still 40, 60, 70, 100,000 feet up. They blow warm air through the parachute can, and it's simple. It's simple as fuck, and it's gonna work because it's got to. There's nowhere else for this to go. And instead of having this heater that relies on this timer, that relies on these wires, that rely on this battery, that relies on this charging, you know what I mean? This like step. It's just like, oh, the empty ones are now hot, and because they're hot, they've expanded. Because it's just air now, they've expanded, and then they open the valve, and then the the hot air goes through it's stuff like that. So the Chinese would be wise to pick up the Soyuz, but they're using their own rockets, and they're using some American navigational technology. So the American navigational technology is kick-ass, even though you've got to have lots and lots of initials in it. So where is this all going? Basically, it was about immigration, and it was about what you get when you get immigration. And one of the things that Australia's gotten out of immigration is that we have one of everything. There is no nation that tries to speak to Australia where we don't know what they're saying, because we have some of them, and we can call them up and say, what's he saying? And they will translate for us. Often they're paid to translate. We have people who sit on bloody space stations, who are good at programming, who are watching for where cyber attacks are coming from, and they can tell by the nature of the cyber attack who it is, where it's come from. They can apparently pick which Chinese or Russian university these guys have either been trained at, or it's coming
because of the
from.
type of language they use.
Because the type of language and the type of style they use.
Yeah.
And like,
I
I
also want to throw it in the chat. Stellar Engineering now's coming in, saying re-entry capsules designed based on tektites, which are molten rock injected into space after an asteroid impact, shapes best for atmospheric re-entry depending on angle. See, that's why we have people, so many different things on the stream. Someone with the engineering nous of Stellar.
And you have your tektites, and we found this out of tektites. When they roll, they basically, you put the center of gravity slightly off. So you roll them, and they can come up and down and this way and that way. You can't pitch them very well, but you can roll them, and you can actually put direction in them. It's brilliant. And all it does is you roll with the center of gravity. And that's maths. That's big time maths with slide rules. Can you imagine putting a space program together with slide rules?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And as an interesting dramatization of that in the movie Hidden Figures, the Apollo program was basically powered by a couple of black women who were real good at maths. And saying, but Abigail's actually putting in the really difficult questions now because we've gone into a difficult area. Is a hot dog a sandwich? So,
no,
because it has bread with something in the thing. No,
a hamburger, like a McDonald's hamburger is a sandwich. A hot dog is not.
Americans call it a sandwich too.
That's right. A hot dog is not a sandwich because the dog is taken out of hot water. A dog is too hot to be a sandwich.
But a McDonald's thing's taken off a grill. That's...
Yeah, but they're not hot when you eat them. They're lukewarm.
No, they're hot. Okay, I call shenanigans on that.
Call shenanigans
that's
as much as you want.
that's
They
a
are
dubious
designed to
reason.
be
I
lukewarm.
I would argue a hot dog's not a sandwich because it's the wrong shape. Instead, sandwiches are square or round. There's a bit and a bit and a bit. Hot dogs are this weird fucking long thing, and it's like saying a burrito is a sandwich. You could argue that a burrito, it's got the flour-based wrap and the stuff's that's a burrito's not a sandwich. A hot dog is a burrito. Okay, I'm making a call now. A hot dog is a burrito.
I'm making the call about heat. I think that's
okay.
the legal definition.
No. Sorry. I'm just declaring myself as having the authority to strike that off. I'm striking that off.
I don't know that authority will hold up very well in a New York court.
No, because I can make sandwiches that are hotter than a toasted sandwich.
You could make a sandwich and call it a sandwich, but if you were in our cousins, the United States of America, and you had to sell a food item, you would have to be very careful about what you called it.
No one's going to argue that a toasted cheese sandwich is not a sandwich. No one sensible is going to say a toasted cheese sandwich is not a sandwich. But a toasted cheese sandwich, the cheese can be at like napalm levels of hotness. It can be
molten lava, right?
Yeah, far hotter than a hot dog.
No one has said the law is sensible.
No, the law is an ass.
The law is an ass, and the law says that a sandwich is about heat.
Now, okay, so Safa's saying, is Subway a sandwich? That has a specific name. That was always referred to as a submarine sandwich because it was long like a submarine. It was an acknowledgement that long roll is not, in God's eyes, a sandwich. And because a sandwich has to be a square or possibly circular, the long things God does not perceive to be sandwiches, so it was referred to as a submarine sandwich. So it's a sub. So a hot dog is either a sub or a burrito, but it's not a sandwich.
No, a hot dog's not a sandwich, but it's about the heat. You know what? I have felt your pain. I have been through your garden of woe. I have gone, this is fucking ridiculous before, until I have had several, usually roadies, that I drove around for a touring company, which I won't call their name out because they could probably have me killed. And they told me quite specifically that in their country of birth, US, sandwich and burger are two different things based on heat, and bloody hot dogs are based on heat as well. And I just went, you can't be for real, can you? And they went, no, they've had lawsuits about it. And I've gone...
Just for a laugh, I'm putting into Google difference between a sandwich and it auto-completed. It auto-completed to difference between a sandwich and a burger. Now, the main difference is a sandwich is prepared by placing the filling of vegetables and meat between two bread slices, while the burger is cooked by putting... They're saying what Americans call a sandwich isn't a sandwich. They're saying a burger is a bun. They're saying a sandwich is flatbread, which honestly I would be on board with. I would be on board with the definition of sandwich being flatbread and a burger is buns. But Americans call McDonald's burgers sandwiches.
They call them sandwiches,
some fucking reason.
I'm sure.
And so
it was heat.
hot dogs are
That's
right
what I
out.
heard. That the law people said it was heat, and that hot dogs were hot.
Yeah. So Stella's saying the original sandwich was defined as having cold meats, which would preclude a toasty. That also, there was one of the many great jokes from Blackadder, where he's saying to Baldrick, like, "Oh, just make me something easy." Oh, that thing that Roderick, Earl of Sandwich, had, where he put some cold meats between two bits of bread. Yes, make me one of those. I could go a Roderick right now, and it was,
I could go, Roderick.
and because that's the folklore of why sandwiches are called sandwich, that the Earl of Sandwich just said, "Put me some of the cold leftovers between two slices of bread," and so it became. But the way Blackadder said it, yes, that thing Roderick, Earl of Sandwich, had. Make me a Roderick. I'll
have one of those. Yeah, that's right. Somebody said to me, "I'll have a Roderick." And I was looking at him funny, and it wasn't until I watched Blackadder that I found out what was going on. I am positive I've heard somewhere that some ridiculous fucking law court that had the health department up in arms, and it was in New York, and it was about the heat of the food because the health department was freaking out because Hungry Burger, what do they call them? Burger King and McDonald's were bringing out food that was not at a temperature that could guarantee the killing of germs.
Oh my God! American fast food restaurants are serving food that will make you sick. Tell me it isn't so.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry about it too. I was shocked and aghast. These cads, these bounders, and the health food people were freaking out.
Yeah.
And then they said, "Oh, it's not a burger, it's a sandwich," and it was like, what's the difference? And it's heat. Apparently it's heat.
Oh, look, weirder things have happened. This is not a joke. Italian governments have fallen over the definition of pizza. An Italian government.
Shit. That is real.
An Italian government has lost the vote of no confidence because people wouldn't support the definition of what a pizza was.
That's right. They lost. They were out of government because of it. And everyone went, how did that happen? And people have said that there was a time there that if there wasn't for the Catholic Church, Italy would be a failed state because they were losing a prime minister every 3 months.
They've had more governments than Christmases. They've had more governments than Christmases since World War II.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll have 3 different governments in a year. So
it's almost like Australia.
Yeah, I know, right? I noticed with interest the chat has settled on, because a sub is a subset of sandwiches, and a hot dog is a type of sub that would make a hot dog a sandwich. Okay, I will throw in that whole idea of calling something a submarine sandwich makes it a sandwich is like saying because someone called the drink an espresso martini, it's a martini. It isn't. It's a marketing thing. Oh, Queen Curse, the podcast you're wrong about, did an episode on the McDonald's hot coffee. That is a very famous story that I was very pleased when I found out my offspring knew the real version. For those who haven't heard it, people will often, like, when they talk about frivolous lawsuits, they'll talk about, McDonald's has to put caution, contents hot on their coffee cups because some woman sued them because it was too hot and it burnt her. And it makes the woman sound stupid. But McDonald's was serving coffee in cups where the water was almost boiling, and the cups actually weren't strong enough to hold the coffee. It was so hot. And this woman who successfully sued McDonald's for giving her a coffee that was too hot, like it degraded the cup. She got really serious burns. And what the court said was, yes, it is reasonable to expect if you order a coffee from McDonald's, it's not going to be so hot it actually degrades the styrofoam cup they've given it to you in, and it gives you very serious burns when it splashes over your body. That is reasonable to expect. People are not giving you something that hot. And as Stella said it in all caps, her labia fused together. It was so hot. There you go. So, Abigail, if hot dog slips out as dog has sex with a donut, is the offspring of union will be tasty or a mulish abomination? So you're talking about hot dog flavored and a sweet donut, I assume we're saying? I'd honestly probably eat a hot dog or at least a sausage in a sweet donut bun. I actually, up in the cupboard there, I have some, because I had to get them, A, because they're on special, B, because whenever there is a weird flavor of chips, I feel compelled to try them. There's some hot dog flavored chips, and I got them, and they actually genuinely taste a little bit like a boiled hot dog with tomato sauce. It's quite freaky, actually. Potato chips that taste a bit like a boiled hot dog with tomato sauce. It's quite weird. It's quite weird. So, yes.
Angry, I'm sorry to
Yes,
cut
mate.
in. I just heard you say potato chips taste like a girl tap dog.
No. Okay. I bought, because there was a special new flavor of chips called hot dog flavored chips. And these ones genuinely taste a bit like a boiled hot dog with tomato sauce. So,
oh yeah, the chip flavor thing blew my mind when it came out. I
wow,
bad sorcery.
I read an article once, a guy who visited one of the manufacturing plants that made all the chips and the savory biscuits and whatnot, and he said it was the weirdest fucking experience because you could smell all this stuff that you'd swear was food, like roast meats cooking, and he said there was nothing in here remotely approaching food. It was all powdered.
I've been to a aldehyde lab where they made, and this freaked me out, they made dyes for fabric and flavors for food. Yeah. And the dyes for fabric and the flavors for food were a temperature difference apart in the chemical cracking.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that hurt me in my soul. It was like, you know, as soon as they could boil it across, because it's like a distillation process.
Yes.
They boil it across out of different feedstock chemicals. And they said, oh, here we're making dye for purple. Was one of the first ones we made. And here we're making banana cherry and orange flavor.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, we get the stock as it comes through, and then we split it off into its component parts. And I went, I'm never eating anything again.
Yeah. Stella's saying her favorite freaky flavor was Guinness flavored chips bought at the Guinness Brewery in Dublin. They genuinely tasted like Guinness and witchcraft. So, yeah.
Yep.
So, Dairy Steel's Babies had a citrus that tasted like apricot. Nice. Kirsten, Skittles actually don't have flavor. They have a smell, which indicates to your brain flavor. Yes, people underestimate how big a role smell plays in tasting things, because it's been shown repeatedly. What people don't realize is onions and apples have about the same consistency when you bite into them, and you can give someone an onion to bite, but if you like squeeze a bit of apple under their nose so the apple aroma comes out, if you do an apple under their nose as they bite into an onion, 9 people out of 10 will go, I'm eating an onion. Same deal if you give them an apple to bite into, but squeeze a bit of onion under their nose so the onion aroma goes up their nose, they'll be sure they just bit into a raw onion. Short version of this, brains are fucked. Don't trust them. Brains tell you wrong things all the time. So...
And if your Prime Minister eats a raw onion, he's in QAnon.
If your Prime Minister eats a raw onion that still has the brown papery skin under it, that makes even the onion growers look at him and go, what the fuck are you doing? He might be a bit of a unit. Nettie came back and read Stella's comment first. Fair enough. So Stella's saying taste. Yeah, taste is sensed by the tongue, flavor sensed by the nose. It's a whole complex thing. For most humans, you can't separate smell and taste. They play off each other. We delude ourselves into thinking they're different things, but our brain processes them together. Abigail saying it's like chemistry is complex. Yes. Yeah. Also, it's like how chemicals. There's a fine line between a toxic dose and a lower dose that is good. Oh, no, Kirsten, you've run out of Nova. I still have quite a lot of Nova, and that's just because I bought a couple bottles when Coles was selling it for $20 off. I bought 3 bottles. No, I think I bought 4 bottles, and I traded one to Abigail for tech support, and I think I've gone through 2 of them. I've still got 1. Either that or I only bought 3 and I gave 1 to Abigail and I went through it. But anyway, I still have some Nova. I haven't been drinking. It's been rum night. Tonight's been rum night. I haven't drunk any whiskey tonight. I was doing my overproof rums and I made a rum punch with them, which got me inebriated. And I finished off the last of my batched Woodson and Ford, which is also a rum cocktail. But it has apple brandy and sweet vermouth and Benedictine in it. Oh, I like. There was a question: what does witchcraft taste like? I like Nettie's answer. Witchcraft usually tastes like cinnamon or chamomile. I think that's a good answer. Good answer. Oh, nice, Abigail. Besides still having some Nova, a friend recently got us some 12-year-old Canadian Club. Very good. Very good.
Is that Dr. Abigail?
That's Dr. Abigail. Friend got her a 12-year-old Canadian
Dr.
Club.
Abigail introduced me to some of her mutual friends.
Yeah, that sounds like a good friend.
Don't give me good shit like that. They give me shit like you're too fat. Your jokes are funnier than us, therefore we're jealous of you. And shit like your penis is too small. And I go, my penis is bigger than yours. And I show them. And then they take snaps and then they send it off to the police. You wonder why I don't have any pension left.
Yeah,
because you pay them once and they're back again and again
and again and again. Kirsten's trying to do an incantation by mentioning Coles should do another special. Maybe it'll manifest. I know at the moment, last time I looked, they had twofold $10 off, which is not bad. But when they randomly had the Nova, which is the single malt, for $20 off, that's like, fuck yeah, get some of that. Get some of that. Coles does randomly have really good specials. And it's just like, and that's why I always make a point when I just go to the supermarket to get household things, look at the bottle shop just to see if they've got some random special that's really good. Safa is drinking Bilson's Toffee Apple Vodka. Nice.
Oh!
That sounds good, doesn't it?
Safa, do you need to be around my house for a while?
Yeah.
Involved.
Okay. Yeah.
I should do that with my eyes when I say sex. I should go, there's sex involved. I just got a lazy eye.
Yeah, that's what that's about. Yeah. No, I've still got one bottle I'm waiting to get delivered, which should arrive sometime in the next week, which is essentially a distilled apple cider from Tasmania. Because it's what Americans call Applejack, or the French call Calvados, is a spirit made from apple juice, essentially. So like a lot of brown spirits, like whiskey, is essentially beer that's been distilled. It's a fermented grain that you then distill. Rum is sugar. You ferment sugar and then distill it. Applejack, Calvados, is apple cider that you then distill. And this was like about a week ago on the stream, I randomly found this. A Tasmanian distiller that does an Australian version of distilled cider. So that's hopefully arriving, got anywhere between tomorrow and next Friday. And then I'm going to, because I did the taste off tonight with the overproof rums, because I got a new overproof rum the other day, the Smith and Cross, which incident I taste, for those who missed it, I tasted it against Plantation's OFTD, which is 69% alcohol, and Inner Circle cask strength from Queensland, which is 75%. 69. Yeah, nice.
69.
So my video that's going to live tomorrow, I made 2 variations on a porn star martini. I decided to make overproof porn star martinis. Normally it's boringly made with vodka, which is boring. So I made one with overproof rum and one with overproof gin. And of course, making a porn star martini, which overproof rum did I have to make it with? 69, dudes. So, and it was actually quite good. Yeah, so I've done the overproof rum taste test. So when I get this Australian distilled apple cider, I'm going to do a taste test because I've got some American Applejack and I've got a French apple liqueur. I want to taste them all side by side and see how they compare. What's still got on the subject of fermentation? Ooh, you're attempting fermented food. Cherry, tomatoes, basil, and garlic. Nice. Yeah, because there are a few fermented foods in different cuisines around the world. What's the Asian one? Kimchi. Kimchi is a fermented food.
It's seaweed. Kimchi is fermented seaweed.
The worst one is that scary Scandinavian thing, which is the shark that gets buried underground and decays and ferments, and then they tin it. And then apparently, like, you can't. There are laws against opening it indoors.
You've got to open it underneath in a bucket of water.
Yeah.
You've got to, the cans blow, right?
Yeah.
And then it's ready.
Yeah.
And then you've got to open it under a bucket of water. You're not allowed.
Oh, okay. So everyone's saying cabbage. Kimchi is actually cabbage. Well, I don't know. There's probably someone who does it with seaweed. But yes, no, kimchi is fermented cabbage.
It's right next to the sea. It's grown pretty much everywhere in Korea. It's a very, very standard Korean dish.
No, because so everyone agrees kimchi is cabbage, but there's probably variants of it. Yeah, so it's related to sauerkraut. I don't think sauerkraut is fermented, although I'm willing to be corrected on that. Sauerkraut is prepared with vinegar and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So, ex-girlfriend of mine whose dad was German would make you eat sauerkraut, and he'd pile up a fucking plate like this high with sauerkraut, and I'm just like, what? No. Oh, Sarah's on Twitch is saying sauerkraut is actually fermented. And I will trust your judgment on that because I am absolutely not a sauerkraut expert.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, no, an ex of mine, her dad was German, and if I went round there, oh yeah, Queen Kirst agrees, it's fermented.
Which bit? The cabbage?
I don't know, Sarah's, you were forced to eat as a kid. What's sauerkraut is usually cabbage as well. Safa loves sauerkraut. Okay.
But what's it? What's the bit that's fermented?
I think it's cabbage. Again,
Okay.
it's just
purple
done with
cabbage and
different
normal
flavors.
cabbage, and you put it together with your carrot.
Yeah, it's done with different flavors. Like kimchi. Kimchi's a very different flavor to sauerkraut. Yeah, Sarah says yes, it's cabbage. The core element of sauerkraut is cabbage. And so, if I understand right, the reason for fermentation is once you ferment it and then you like seal it in the jars and stuff, it keeps. So it's like, you know, you can't grow cabbage year round, but you can have a big old cabbage crop and you can spend a period eating it fresh. But then because it's going to go off, you ferment it and seal it in jars, and then you can still have it all through the off season. That's
why they used to make whiskey. Was that
it's to use the grain and
you grain harvest and you get all your excess and you whiskeyfy it, and basically you could use it as a storage and a currency. You could have barrels / big bloody glass jars of it, and instead of saying, "Oh, I've got X amount of bags of grain in the middle of fucking winter, I've got 4 barrels of good breath of life," and you go, "Oh yeah, that'll give you half a tractor," and away you go. And it used to sell all up and down the Midlands right through to the top of Scotland, but not England because everyone hated them.
Yep.
No,
So
everyone
Kirsten's saying her favorite snack in Estonia was deep fried rye bread with sauerkraut. That sounds really interesting.
I'm gonna say pass. I'm gonna back away from that.
Yeah, I've never really had the palate. I've not had the palate for pickles or fermented food. I've never been, and like some people love it. Some people love the fermented food, the sauerkraut, kimchi, pickles, etc. I've never really had the palate for it.
My mum makes this dark pickles, and my dad makes this light yellow pickles. So she makes a dark green, and dad makes the light yellow. And every year they make you have a pickles of their own and say which one's better. And you go, "Oh, I hate it when mummy and daddy are fighting."
But you're those people who have the jars of the whole, like they're pickled cucumbers, and they're the whole things, and they love it, and they'll just take out a whole pickle and just chomp on it. And I'm just like, cool. Not for me.
No, I'm not cool.
Me.
Cool. I'm going. You are obviously not of this country or place, and we have laws, and laws stating that you're not allowed to eat whole pickled cucumbers. There's this by parachute or smuggled in by submarine. You're trying to take our secrets and our economic information.
Yeah,
you will be locked up with the Muslims.
Yeah,
you better start talking.
Yeah, there's a Netflix movie with Seth Rogen in it. It's called like A Pickle Story or something, and it's a very silly comedy. It's quite entertaining to watch, but it starts off with this guy, an ancestor who's from somewhere in Central Europe, and where everything's awful and oppressed, and he ends up moving to America where he's going to have a new life, but he falls into the pickle vat in a pickle factory and drowns, and then it gets shut down and he's sealed in. And that's like in the mid to late 19th century. And then, I don't know, someone opens up the pickle vat, in the modern day, early 21st century, and he comes out and he's been perfectly preserved because of the pickle thing, and he's still alive. And then it's like he's going like,
doctors are amazed. They hold press conference where they say, I have been preserved in pickle things. Reporters at press conference say, this is stupid and makes no sense. But doctors present science. But you don't hear what they say. They're just like pointing at a whiteboard and going, doctors say science. And journalists go, I am convinced this makes sense. And then it moves on because the whole movie is predicated on this stupid thing that the guy is preserved in a pickle vat for 100 years and comes out okay at the other end. I feel like you want something. Ice cream, yeah? Because I'm in the kitchen and the ice cream treats are here. And these are actually special ones I got. Vanilla caramel brownie.
Well, why don't you fucking send some here?
I'm just going to send. Do you just want one or is there two? Yeah, okay. Right. So it's just, people were aware I bought
some
ice
fucking
cream.
dry ice and some postage and send it here. You know my address. Fuck's sake.
Dry ice. Sorry, do you know, again, because I get Facebook memories on this day. It's about 10 years ago we did experiments with dry ice and making things explode, because I used to get the light and easy meals which were packed in dry ice, and then we go, what can we do with that? And we started off simple, and it was just like, well, put dry ice into a Pepsi bottle and fill it with liquid and then seal it up, and the pressure builds up and up and up, and the noise, it's technically not an explosion. It's just a release of pressure. The Pepsi bottle gets expanded and expanded till it reaches its limit. And the noise made when that pressure is released is very loud. But then we got bored, and I said it was making a social point, because it's cheaper to buy a new printer than it is to buy replacement ink for a printer you bought. And so I wanted to make a statement, and we did the thing with the Pepsi bottle, but it was a printer that had run out of ink, and we sort of took out the insides and stuck the Pepsi bottle with dry ice in, and then the thing, and exploded the printer. And I don't know if you remember this, but because it was a printer scanner combo, had a glass sheet on it, we didn't take the glass sheet off because we weren't thinking. And we set up the camera to video it, and then we ran inside to get away from it, and it exploded and went boosh. And then we heard it, and then there was this noise like hail landing, and it was 1,000 tiny pieces of glass. And we spent ages picking up. It was like when a windshield shatters on a car. We spent ages picking up hundreds of little pieces. And I thought, for the next year, I was finding little pieces of glass on the footpath. And but this is just because we were bored and stupid and said, let's blow up a printer.
And the neighbours got us in trouble too, because they heard the noise and weren't very happy. And they got a little bit of printer in their yard.
They would have got a bit of the glass. But technically, not an explosion, because an explosive, a bomb, technically not a bomb, because a bomb. It involves combustion.
Yes, but
yes, it met the definition of an explosion, but didn't meet the definition of a bomb.
There was no deflagration, there was no detonation. So there's none of the big three that you can get in trouble for, but the explosion definitely happened.
Yeah. It did meet the technical definition of an explosion, but it wasn't a bomb because there was no combustion. It was literally just contained pressure, but the pressure built to the point where the container could no longer contain it, and the release was an explosive release. Like, God, you could share the printer blew the fuck apart. Not that that's hard to do, because printers are made of cheap plastic, apart from the glass plate, which broke into a million pieces.
Tiny little pieces that it blew into was spectacular.
Yeah,
I mean, you're not talking just us. You're talking about all of the structure. Just went into a cloud of things going everywhere.
The other one I just remembered was one that we did with just a Pepsi bottle. Big Pepsi bottle, we put the dry ice in, put the liquid in, screwed the lid on tight, and it expanded and expanded. And we had a camera on it, and it was just like, it didn't explode. And we were both going, well, I'm not fucking going near it. I'm not touching
I'm not
it.
doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not
No.
doing it.
And we went inside and we're just doing some other stuff for like 10 minutes. And then 10 minutes after we just heard this bang from outside.
Just
because
so big.
It had
Like
been spending
shaking
10
inside,
minutes
just a little bit, but it's still short.
right on the edge. 10 minutes right on the edge of what it could contain. And then for whatever reason, the tension finally released and went bang. But when I looked back at the video, which was kind of low res, you can actually see it. The bottle stretches and distorts. And it was like, from the point of view, first it just, like, you can blow up a Pepsi bottle with your breath and it'll just go. And first it just did that. And you go, I could do that. But then you see a bit where, oh no, now the plastic is distorting. And the plastic only distorts for about 30 seconds because it's not really designed to do that. And there's this massive buildup of potential energy. And then it's released in this burst of kinetic energy. It's just like, oh my God. Oh dear. So Abigail also says to qualify as an explosion, the shock wave from combustion needs to be traveling faster than combustion. Oh yeah. So it was like a bang. It definitely wasn't a bomb because there was no conjunction. But just in the term of thing go explodey bang, it's astonishing because all that was making the noise was the release of the tension in the plastic. The plastic was being expanded and expanded and expanded, and it was reaching the limit of its tolerance. And the physics of that tolerance being released in an instant made the bang. And it was a really fucking loud bang. So, yeah.
I practiced a little bit on the weekend
in the chat.
Yeah.
Rottweiler dude saying, have I played the PC game Watchdog Legions? I haven't, but young Mr. Angry has. We actually have a few Watchdogs games. That's a PlayStation game. Oh, it's probably a multi-platform game. We've got it for the PlayStation, though. But yeah. That's a hacker game. Anyway, it's 10 o'clock. So I'm going to be responsible. It's 10 o'clock.
Oh, shit, it is too.
10 o'clock. Going to go to bed. Going to be responsible. You weren't that late. I actually came in late because I was shooting some stuff that I thought I could finish before the stream. And then I realized it was 5 past. And I went, oh, shit, I have to start. I haven't finished, but I have to start the stream before it says you've timed out. So I excused myself at the start going, I'm late. And I also have to do this. I just want to finish doing this. And that was my overproof rum video. But anyway, tomorrow night, party night. And what I note with interest, next week, this week, Saturday night is date night. So I'll be on tomorrow night, but I won't be on Saturday night. But next week, not a date night, but also Friday's a public holiday in Melbourne next week. So technically, that's 3 nights in a row where I don't have to be up at any particular time the next day. So I'm not saying alcohol poisoning a high, but who knows? Next week could be. I probably won't go too hard because I'm old and I'd only have to go really hard for one night to just go.
There's a strong possibility I'm going to be sponsored for those 3 nights. So who knows what might happen.
10 kilometer travel limit. So we could meet in the city to exchange. Just saying. Yes, Rottweiler dude, from what I hear, Watch Dogs is much better than Cyberpunk 2077, which was a real.
I was so disappointed with Cyberpunk 2077. Jeez, it had such promise. It had such promise, and then they did the thing that fucking publishing houses always do. They push the developers to release on time. You must release on time. And it was like there were so many bugs and there were so many holes in the story that could have been fixed. It all could have been fixed and all could have been beautiful. That's the thing. It was so disappointing. It could have been just gorgeous. But they just went, no, you got to let it go. Otherwise, it'll be the end of the world. It's like, it's not. fucking do what Pixar does. If you go 3/4 of the way through the movie and say, nope, start again, they do. And it's
Which notoriously they did with Toy Story 2. They had almost finished and they just looked at it and went, no fucking way.
They also did it with the Incredibles. And the Incredibles was 2 years late and made more money than anything else they'd ever made. And every time they fucking delay their story, they make more cash than they've ever made. And it's like, there's a pattern here.
Yeah.
You know, release shit and it disappears. Release something good and it's amazing.
Yeah. Stella wants to take bets on me falling asleep in the stream on Friday night. And the funny thing is, when I did the first time, the following week I went, I know why I fell asleep last Friday night and I'm not doing it again. And I didn't. And then the following Friday night, which was last Friday night, I did it again. But again, in retrospect, I'm going, I know exactly why I did that. And it was basically because I was drinking premixed stuff and I was just pouring it into glasses without measuring it. Whereas if I make cocktails, I measure them and I know what's in them. And when I make the mistake of just pouring premixed stuff without measuring it, I drink literally twice as much as I think I'm drinking, and I get shit-faced and fall asleep. So I think it's probably an every second week thing now. It's like I fall asleep, and the following week I go, ha, 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 not doing that again, and I don't. And then the week after that, it's like I've forgotten, and I'll do it again. But tomorrow night, who knows? Tomorrow night, we'll see.
Who knows?
Who knows? It's a mystery. We'll never know until we get there. But that's why I did the overproof rum videos tonight, because I thought I can't do, because I like to make like 3 videos for my cocktail channel. And I thought I can't do one that involves making 3 overproof cocktails and then do 2 others on top of that. So, I mean, I've been reasonably inebriated tonight just from doing, so I split that over 2 nights. So I think I've sort of got it together. So we'll see. And yes, Raiders, you're right. Jeff Kennett stole the Gazetted Holiday show day, and Dan Andrews just went, I'm allowed to do a Gazetted Holiday because dickhead Jeff Kennett just killed a Gazetted Holiday. So I'm going to do another one. But I think Grand Final Parade Day means more to Melburnians than show day. And even though there's not going to be a Grand Final parade because of lockdown, we're still going to have the public holiday next Friday. So all I'm saying is 3 nights in a row where technically I don't have to get up at any particular time the next day. So who knows? Next week, anything could happen. Who knows?
Might even be date night for Aidsy on one of those nights. You never know.
Nice. But anyway, that's that. And for those who are around, we'll see you tomorrow night for our Friday night party where anything can happen.
I'll be naked.
Yeah. There'll probably be a bit of that goes on.
I've got some a couple of boils and some pimples on my bum, which I'll squeeze for you.
Nice. Do that off camera. Although there's
no.
There's whole YouTube channels devoted to that.
I know.
Squeeze. I know.
It's strangely satisfying, but completely fucked up.
Yeah. I can't watch them. I tried watching them once or twice, and I'm going, yeah, no, fuck this. No.
Well, I watched
people who have one literally this big on. My favorite one was the rednecks. And it was like the guy's got this lump this big on his shoulder blade, and his girlfriend's convinced him to do it. And she's got like a fucking scalpel and just cuts, and he screams because she cuts about a centimeter long cut, which of course fucking hurts. And then just starts squeezing out all this blood and pus. And anyway, that's a cheesy note to end on.
I've seen one where she's got her ear and going, oh, it's just filled up. It's just one of those ear piercing things that's closed over. Don't worry about it. And she sort of squeezed it, and it's only a little bit and more and more. And she says, it just never ends. More and more and more. And then it goes bloof. Just like splash all over the mirror. And, she's going, oh my God. And then there's even
Yeah.
more in there, and she's going, oh
Yeah.
my God.
The most famous channel, who was a dermatologist, actually got her own show on one of those
Dr.
reality.
Pimple Popper.
Dr.
It's
Pimple Popper.
quite the interesting look.
Oof. It's you can watch her on Foxtel in Australia. She's got her own.
It's
But anyway,
quite the interesting look. There's things
Oh,
in
no.
there you think,
No.
how is that
No,
in there?
yeah,
How did
yeah,
that
no.
much get in there?
No, we're going to roll on and say goodnight to all you fine people. For anyone's
Thank
up for it, we'll be
you.
back tomorrow night.
Very much for